The investigators in this case have a lot more information than we do. We think it's pretty clear what happened here. It was because of the tactics of turning Andrew into a confidential informant that he died. That's our conclusion.
It's been nearly 4 years since Andrew Sadek was found with a gunshot wound to the head after his role as a confidential drug informant. Now,
Welcome back everyone. Today's case file takes us to North Dakota, where a young 20-year-old boy, Andrew Sadek, was reported missing on May 1st, 2014. Almost 2 months later, on June 27th, 2014, his body was discovered with the cause of death being a gunshot wound to the head. Although it was difficult to determine whether it was a self-inflicted wound or if there was foul play involved, the police were determined that this was a suicide. Andrew's family strongly disagreed, as according to them, there were clear indications that this was a possible abduction and later murder. There's a lot to uncover here, people, so without wasting any time, let's jump into the case file of Andrew Sadek. Andrew was born in North Dakota on the 22nd of November 1993 to parents John and Tammy Sadek. He was raised on his family's cattle farm outside nearby Rogers. He was the younger brother of Nicholas Sadek, who he loved and looked up to. They were a very close-knitted family. Unfortunately, in 2005, while on his way to the family farm with his girlfriend, both Nicholas and his girlfriend were killed by a train in an accident. The train tracks were unmarked, leading to the unfortunate accident. Naturally, this took a toll on the family. Despite that, Tammy decided to use this grief and help others. She formed a railroad safety group and also succeeded in adding multiple safety measures and features to help prevent such incidents from happening again. After his brother's tragic death, Andrew became really quiet and reserved. Andrew's family and teachers described him as being quiet and shy. After graduating from Valley City High School, Andrew began attending North Dakota State College of Science in 2012, with the aim of becoming an electrical technician. During his time over there, Andrew would also start selling marijuana, meeting customers in the school's parking lot. On 2 occasions, the buyer would be another student working as a CI for law enforcement, specifically known as SEMCA. This was a multi-jurisdictional law enforcement agency providing services to 3 southeastern North Dakota counties. Andrew's first sale to this student was 3.5 gram for $60. Second was 1 gram for $20. Based on these buys, in November of 2013, SEMCA performed a consent search on Andrew's dorm room, where they found an orange plastic grinder with marijuana residue. While Andrew admitted the marijuana was his, he was not arrested or charged. The following day, Andrew met with Richland County Deputy Sheriff and SEMCA officer Jason Weber, who informed him that because he had sold marijuana on a college campus, he faced a Class A felony charge and a possible sentence of 40 years in prison. In fact, it is questionable if he would have been sentenced to prison at all, as opposed to probation or a brief stop in jail.
But let's say we get done where your charges are worked off type deal, and let's say a few more people and you want to go buy and make some cash. It's you can make some pretty good cash, and I'd be willing to pay you for that if you want to entertain that idea later. You go buy some marijuana, if it takes you 5 minutes, you'll get paid $100 to do a deal. If you go buy meth, pills, whatever, you get paid $200. So quick, easy cash. If you want, after you work off deals, you know some more people if you want to make money. It's just that we don't give you a W-2 at the end of the year. You understand that? Okay.
Andrew agreed to work as a CI as well to avoid the potential penalty. Shortly afterwards, he made his first controlled buy as a CI Twice before this month ended, he bought another 3.5 gram of marijuana from another dealer in the same parking lot for $60 each. In January 2014, he bought a similar amount from a different dealer, one identified by Semka officers. Following the January buy, Andrew stopped keeping up contact with Semka. He needed to make one more buy from the same dealer he had bought from in January, plus one more from a third dealer to fulfill his obligations to them. He never made those buys. Andrew's family says he was preparing for life after school. He had interviewed for work as an electrician in Bismarck and Grand Forks, and he began dating a new girlfriend. Andrew returned to Rogers on the weekend of April 25th to visit his parents and tend to his cattle farm. His mother called him late the following night after he returned to the NDSCS campus. That was his last contact with his family. Several nights later, on April 30th, 2014, Andrew returned to his dorm at North Dakota Hall with a group of friends where they watched a movie before going to bed. And his friend Kugel awake the next morning, he saw that Andrew was gone and presumed he might have gone to see his girlfriend. However, after Andrew did not attend classes that day and had not returned by the next afternoon, Kugel and Andrew's friends reported him missing to NDSCS campus police. Security footage at North Dakota Hall captured an image of Andrew leaving the building after 2 a.m. on May 1st, 2014, wearing jeans and a hooded sweatshirt and carrying a black bag. He was carrying his cell phone, but it was not turned on. Semka assumed Andrew had fled to avoid further CI work and had him formally charged with his 2 felonies in an attempt to motivate him to return. Arrest warrants were issued. Andrew's parents pleaded publicly for him to come home and help with the spring calving on the farm. The search ended almost 2 months later. On June 27, 2014, a police dive team doing a training exercise found Andrew Sadek's body in the Red River near Breckenridge, Minnesota, just across from Webton. It was identified through dental records. Two months later, investigators from North Dakota and Minnesota released the autopsy report, stating that the cause of Andrew Sadek's death was a small caliber gunshot wound to the head. As mentioned earlier, it was unclear whether this was a suicide or if someone had shot Andrew. There were also a few other things that seemed rather bizarre. For instance, several police diving searches have not located the weapon as of yet. The backpack Andrew was wearing had been filled with rocks. The sweatshirt was missing, but his body was wearing a jacket that he did not appear to be carrying or wearing on the security camera footage, and which his family did not recognize as one belonging to him. His wallet was also missing. Andrew's mother, Tammy Sadek, during press interviews would claim that the police never fulfilled their promise to search the river as soon as it went down from its springtime flood stage, which should have been about a month afterwards, and that Andrew's body had only been found when the team happened to be doing its training exercise. A month afterwards, the water had receded. She would also criticize the NDSCS campus police, who were in charge of investigating circumstances of her son's disappearance and not seriously exploring angles that suggested homicide instead. According to Tammy, suicide just didn't make any sense, as he was due to being graduated within 2 weeks of time. She also pointed out that Sadek had not expressed suicidal thoughts nor had written a suicide note. Though it is critical to note that around that time of Andrew's death, there was a .22 caliber pistol that was also missing from the family home. In December 2014, Tammy revealed when they brought Andrew's car from the NDSCS campus parking lot After his initial disappearance, they found the carpeting was completely wet, as well as several inches of water in the spare tire well in the trunk. According to Tammy, this indicated that someone may have killed Andrew, put his body in the trunk, and driven it to the river, then returned to the campus. Surprisingly, the security camera monitoring the parking lot was not functioning that night. Someone who had talked to Tammy reported seeing 3 people cleaning a car similar to her son's the night of the disappearance. Tammy also questioned whether the NDSCS campus police were ever capable of handling such an investigation by themselves, and asked why the case had not been referred to North Dakota's Bureau of Criminal Investigation or the FBI. Prior to this, just a few months back, in August of 2014, Tammy Sadek called on North Dakota Attorney General Wayne Steinem to investigate Semke's handling of her son's work as a CI. Webton Police Chief Scott Thristenson, one of the 11 law enforcement officers on Semke's board, defended the use of CIs. The panel's report, published in early 2015, found that most of Semke's handling of Andrew Sadek had followed all the established law and procedures. Tammy stated that the panel was not truly independent, calling it nothing more than a charade. 2 years after Andrew's death, his family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Richland County Sheriff Jason Weber. The lawsuit argued that not only had law enforcement failed to train Andrew or offer protection during his work as a confidential informant, but that they also lied about the potential charges and legal repercussions for his arrest. Weber's lawyer argued that the Sadeks had been very vocal in the media and requested that the judge issue a gag order, though ultimately the judge dismissed the motion. In April of 2018, the Sadek's lawyer requested a rescheduling since neither Andrew's school nor the investigating agencies had provided them with evidence and files that they had requested. This motion was granted in July of 2019. The Sadek's wrongful death suit was dismissed. Southeast District Judge Jay Schmitz explained his decision, writing in part, "One can only speculate almost endlessly. Was Andrew's death a suicide or homicide? If it was homicide, who did it? What was the killer or killer's motivation? Was Andrew killed during a drug deal? If so, was it related to his role as a confidential informant?" Then in November 2020, 4 state Supreme Court justices agreed, saying there was a lack of evidence to determine how, when, or where Sadek died. The Sadeks filed a second notice to appeal with the state Supreme Court in May 2022. The appeal was in connection to a February 2022 ruling in Richland County District Court that said there is no case, claim, or cause of action pending before this court. To this day, Andrew's family has not given up and is trying their hardest to make sure their son receives the justice he deserved. What truly happened that night of Andrew's disappearance, we may not know for certain. But in my humble opinion, I find it hard to believe that this was a suicide. I mean, if anything, the backpack filled with rocks doesn't make any sense if this was supposed to be a suicide. One can only hope that the truth finally comes out. Well folks, that was the end of the case file. Hope you did find the video interesting. If you've made it this far, I would genuinely appreciate it if you would give this video a like, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, as it would really help me. Until next time, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and please be safe. Peace.